In order to disempower you, the influence is used to distract you from the truth of mind-reality interconnectivity with lies of objectivity. All the world is absurd theater, and all the men and women merely absurd. Much of life is a manifestation of the balancing act between fine intellectual ideals and raw visceral desires. Certainty is detrimental in that it fosters adherence to dogma and discourages experiments based on exploration, observation, and questioning. The event horizon for the collapsing wave function is before the assemblage of the persona and the world the persona occupies. With distinctions, reality lies somewhere in the middle between an ideal and a worst-case scenario. Everything in reality is in harmony with nature. Nature doesn't manifest anything that is contrary to its inner designs. If it's a primitive desire to wish to dominate nature, then it's in man's primordial nature. This is how it's been for man since day one. Humanity has a chance to influence existential reality and perhaps gain some freedom from the desire to dominate inventory and context. Now is the reality. Before and later are concepts. The reality of now needs no explanation or narrative. It's right here to be experienced. Again, the reality of life is found in the existential constant now, not in some utopian past or dystopian future. Don't seek to be better suited for a spiritual aspiration. You are already suited just fine, flaws and all. Maybe some flaws in you can be changed, but if not, how you feel and think about them could be changed. Due to labels, bigotry, and discrimination of aggressive oppressors, different people get grouped under one umbrella, creating solidarity. Everything you do in life could be improved by just slowing down and being mindful with your focus. Use your focus to develop various masteries, as opposed to how focusing your attention on certain things makes you feel. Whether the story has a good or bad ending, it's ending. So you might as well make the best of the only thing you have, the present moment. It's quite apt and befitting that the word dog is in dogma. It's a nice crypto-semantic touch. Nothing can stop a man on a mission. But if so, then the mission is of less value than the obligations that are preventing that mission. Even with all the scientific discoveries, advances in technology, and the wealth of information available, fairy tales still reign supreme. Make-believe personas are playing around with make-believe materials for a little while. That's all that's going on here. There's no real damage, for there isn't anything permanent to retain damage. You can't damage awareness. Anything is possible when lucid, for there isn't any laws, codes, or natures that are absolute. These too are contextual and transcendable. The lucid need only utilize the mind. Those that are not lucid hate to see anyone who is on the path of freedom. Hence, petty jealousy becomes disguised as pious righteousness. Let go of the heartbreak. Let go of the stress. Let go of the hopelessness. Letting go is effortless. It's not a matter of knowing. It is a matter of releasing value investments. It's one spirit, one mind, one energy, a pure potentiality that expresses itself through serial manifestations. All content is equally personal, whether it be world, objects, your character, other people, or environments. A relationship between a persona and content assumes a separation. An identity, or persona, or ego is not a true self, but rather an identification of awareness. Impermanent manifestations are only appearances. They rise and fade away. What might be called a true self is that which is always so. Whatever it is that is always so is recognized via experience through the agency of awareness. The always so isn't separate from us. So an atheistic approach helps clarify the concept of God as not out there, but an aspect of mind. There's no goal, destination, or change to undergo. It's an uncovering process, a gradual dropping of false identifications and associations. One common mistake made is the identification attachment to these characters we assume are the selves. It's difficult to become intimate with the pure potentiality that produces all manifestations and resist shitting self-serving labels on it. What does following awareness introspectively uncover? What is found beyond sensory perception? Stoicism isn't about repression, but about truly not being moved by misfortune into destructive emotions and actions. We are not the ego, we are the caretakers of an ego. The ego may give context to an existence, but it's as a place marker for the always so. Ego is transient, non-permanent, and temporary. It is contextual, but illusory, and hence a source of suffering to those that indulge in it. To self-identify as the ego and not reside in the metamind as an outside observer of sorts will often lead to disturbances and suffering. Just as we recognize ego as a contextual agency, we can also be aware of the context of that contextual agency and strive for footing there. Keep a Zen mind in all circumstances. Do not let how the content arranges itself disturb your peace of mind. A Zen mind entails detaching from visceral impulses, the lust, greed, and passion, which enable destructive thoughts, actions, and feelings. Potential is never squandered or lost. Potential is either manifest into a realized possibility, or they remain in a static superposition. A distinction is made, hence its polar opposite condition must also manifest to give the contrast necessary to recognize such distinction. Pure awareness becoming self-aware is the self-imposed limitation transaction sufficient enough to collapse into a manifestation. If limitation is removed, distinction is lost. Without distinction, there can be no existential reality. Sometimes healing in medicine stings or hurts, but that doesn't mean the healer means you harm. Most people don't seem to appreciate this. There's nothing wrong with emotion, just as there's nothing wrong with any biological process. It's the deep indulgence that is destructive. Detachment doesn't mean you don't love, care, or fulfill your responsibilities, but it does require less indulgence in the drama schmaltz. Everyone knows that you can't get something from nothing. Actually, pure potentiality has a 100% chance of manifesting. Knowing things isn't the key to illumination, nor is caring. Will my words illuminate you? Nope. They are only pointers. Just try easing up a bit on being the unabashed possessive desire emotion whore. Ease up from being the staunch value junkie. You don't have to play by anyone else's rules. You can decide what means what, and can redefine what you want, and reinvent anything you feel needs to be reinvented. Don't have much regard for previously existing foundations. If they have integrity, maybe keep them. If not, don't hesitate to uproot them. Channeling desire into a creative outlet is good, as opposed to acting out in passion or crawling into a shell of repressed depression. The persona, brain, behaviors, patterns, world, context, perceptions, sexuality, gender, race, and beliefs are all collapsed wave function.